Good morning and welcome in on this beautiful sunny Monday morning. Hope you are all well, and it's lovely to be here with you. So it's all right, just as usual, looking at cameras and things and wondering why I haven't got a view of, that's better, of my phone camera. Okay, so good morning. My name is Helen Jennings. I'm a Stampin' Up demonstrator based here in the UK. And I come on, hopefully twice a week, all being well, and do some crafting with you. So if you are here live with us this morning, do come on and say hello. Do let us know where you're joining from and what sort of a day you're having. I have got doors and things open this morning because it is very warm. We're not complaining, but that might mean there's a little bit of noise from outside. I've just heard a bus go by, but hopefully that doesn't come over too strongly your end. Morning, Lisa, and morning, Jackie. So without further ado, let's bring in some of these slides and introduce you to me. As I say, I'm Helen Jennings, and you will find me under the name of Love-a-Duckie, and this is my website, www.loveaduckie.co.uk, and you'll find all sorts of inspiration, classes, links to shops and things over there on my website. But wherever you're looking for me on social media, be that Pinterest, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, look out for Love-a-Duckie, and that's hopefully where you will find me. We are going to be using some lovely new products from the new annual catalogue today. So if you don't yet have a copy of the annual catalogue, you're here in the UK and you would like me to send you one, do get in touch. You can, under the contact tab on my website, find a request a catalogue section, so you can fill in a form there or just reach out to me via email, text message, whatever is easiest for you, and I will certainly get one of those into the post to you. A few things that are on that website, promotions that you might be interested in. I've got a paper share, a ribbon share, specialty paper share, embellishment share. You find all of details of all of those under the shop button on my website, under the clubs and shares. And there's also an in colour share, and we are going to be using some of the in colours this morning. For anybody who does place an order with me of £40 or more before the 14th of May, you will be entered into a draw for a small prize. So do consider that. If you've got a wish list, get that order in before the 14th of May. And the other thing that I'm going to point out to you is this wonderful in colour starter kit offer. Now, as I say, we are using some of the in colours today. If you have a big wish list, this is got to be worth considering, because for £99 you get to choose £130 worth of product of your choice. So that's a good suite plus a bundle, probably plus oddments. So you get to choose £130 out of any of the current catalogues. And in addition to that, so not as part of, but in addition to that, you are also going to receive during this month of May, if you join the family, the 5 in colour ink pads, a pack of the 5 in colour cards, and a pack of the 6x6 in colour designer series paper, and you'll get a pack of the in colour grid paper. So fabulous offer, and well worth considering. Yeah, so do think about that if you are a big wish list. Let's remove that from the screen. Oh, sorry, the disco ball. Every time I hit remove, it didn't go, and then it did go and did come back. So yeah, a bit of psychedelic flashing backwards and forwards. So let's come on over to my downward screen, and I can see that my camera is once more this morning having a wanderlust. we will keep it in check, hopefully. Let me just try and get it about ready before I add it to the stream. So here we have the Tea Boutique suite, and this is the suite we're going to be playing with today. Now, the Tea Boutique suite does feature all of the fabulous new in colours, plus others besides. So if you have a look across here at the suggested colour palette that goes in the catalogue, you've got the Sweet Sorbet, the Parakeet Party, the Tahitian Tide, the Starry Sky, and the Orchid Oasis. I will get used to all those names eventually. And in there is also Crushed Curry, but there are other colours in there as well, particularly in the papers. And in this suite, you're going to get a stamp set featuring teacups. You all know that I do like a nice cup of tea. And you've also got flowers, you've got lemon. It's not so common to drink tea with lemon here in the UK, but you know, it's there should you require it. Get flowers, you've got the little tags for your tea bags, and little greetings that will fit inside those. You've got a little tiny tag here with a printed piece on, and in the dies you've got other tiny tags, and you've got some dies obviously that cut out these stamped images, and also a fancy detailed die in there, as well as floral dies and tea bag tags and all of those sorts of things. So you've got this gorgeous suite, you've got a pack of DSP, and you have got a pack of cards and envelopes. So let's bring those in. There's our stamp set ready to go. You can see the things on those sentiments. You've got things like take care of yourself, thank you for your friendship, I miss you, I just can't thank you enough. That would fit on one of those little tags. You've got tos and froms, it's time for tea, and let's get together soon. So some really nice sentiments on there. You've got these sort of leaves, flowers that will go alongside of those, some other bigger sort of leaf images. Here's your little tag down here that you can cut out that will sort of stamp in the background and leave this as a resist. You've got your dies that go alongside the stamp set. As you can see, mine is still not on a magnetic sheet yet, so not been very used. You've got hearts, you've got your leaves, you've got this lemon here that you can build up details. You've got a cup that will cut out your stamped images, and then you've got this sort of more detailed die just here. That's not one that's a new, that's one that we're going to possibly be using. You've got these fab cards and envelopes, and we shall perhaps use these for one of them. So these are in the in colours. There's your Parakeet Party, your Sweet Sorbet, your Tahitian Tide, your Orchid Oasis, and then at the back the Starry Sky, and you've got patterned printed card bases that go with each of those. So those are really lovely, bright, bold. And then you've got the papers. Oh, a bit of a tickle. So again, featuring those in colours plus more. Some of them have got teapots and teacups on. Some have got lemons on there, floral images, bright, bold florals, more teapots, little flowers in envelopes, more teapots. And then the other side tends to be a bit more backgroundy. So sort of ginghams and spots, stripes. There's sort of background dots on there, flowery prints. So yeah, a really gorgeous set of 6x6 papers. Again, featuring those ink colours. We've gone really, really croaky. Morning, Glenda. Hopefully my voice isn't going to give up altogether. It's saying it's Monday. We don't want to talk. So this is the suite we're going to be playing with today, and I've got two thoughts in my mind. One is to play with the suite because I haven't yet, to incorporate some of the in colours, and I have all the in colours here in the stamp ink pad. So here's the Tahitian Tide, here's the Sweet Sorbet, so we've got a nice turquoisey colour, a sort of red, sort of verging on the sort of watermelony type red. I've not noticed those before. We've got those little in-colour blocks on there. This is the Starry Sky, so a dark blue with a touch of purple, so very sort of indigo. This Orchid Oasis, which is very sort of cornflowery blue, so a very purpley blue, beautiful colour. And then the Parakeet Party, which is quite a yellowy sort of bright green, really lovely. So those are the 5 ink colours that we have to play with for the next 2 years, and we're going to play with those this morning. So we're going to use the tea suite, which I haven't used before. We're going to be incorporating some of those ink colours, and I wanted to try and get some texture into these cards today. So looking a little bit at ways of adding a bit of texture to our card fronts. So I have a nicely inked mat, but as I keep saying, I don't want to just replace it just for the sake of it, just for aesthetics. Let's not put it in the bin when it will still work perfectly well today. I think I'm going to be playing with this camera all morning again. Can you just watch it drift? Hey ho. Okay, so I think we'll start off with the stamp set. And I'm going to take this stripy teacup. Do you like this stripy teacup? Very sort of traditional teacup pattern. More often than not, do tend to use mugs these days, but teacups are very, very nice, particularly if you're doing something like afternoon tea. There is something very special about them, particularly if they are a nice china teacup. Let's bring in my piercing mat because they are photopolymer stamps. And let's have a look what we have in the... Oh, in my basic white card box oddments that's here next to me. I am going to be die cutting these, so that's okay if there's a couple of little splodges on it I need to be avoiding. I'm going to come in with Starry Sky. Now these are new ink pads, so they are going to be quite juicy, as you can see. I'm just going to do a beautiful. I think I'm going to have 2 blue. And then let's bring in Stamping Scrub, give that a bit of a spritz. It's a very inky ink pad. And you can already see that there's a slight staining, slight red staining. Anything that's got red ink in seems to automatically stain. And because this is a sort of slightly purpley blue, it is going to have that touch of red in it. And now I'm going to take the Sweet Sorbet. So we are going to go red this time. Unashamedly red. Let's ink that up. And let's do a red teacup. Give that a bit of a scrub and a clean up. Now I want to die cut these. And let's bring in our dies, and we have our die here. I've yet to remove from the background. There we go. And I'm going to die cut these 3 teacups. So we have got a magnetic plate coming for our stamping cut and emboss, depending on where you are in the world, will depend whether or not you can get it yet. Here in Europe, we are waiting for supplies to come into the warehouse. With the current global crisis, it is taking everything longer than anticipated to reach, particularly Europe at the moment. Whether that has anything to do with possibly to do with the conflict in Ukraine at the moment, could possibly it be impacting shipments into Europe. There is one teacup. And 2 teacups. And let's have that red one. Sweet sorbet. To add into the mix. Just put that die down with the other die so that it doesn't go walkabout. So I have 3 teacups here. And what I want to do with these, I want to make them sort of a little bit shiny, like glazed pottery ware. So I've got some clear embossing powder here and a Versamark. I'm going to just take, this one is quite a tatty piece of grid paper, but I'm going to take that for a moment and lay that down here. And let's take one of these cups. What I'm going to do is I'm going to squidge Versamark ink, tap, 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 squidge, 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 Versamark ink all over the top of there. And then let's pop that in. So do make sure you've got your clear embossing powder and not your white. They look very similar. Don't get them mixed up. Otherwise, rather than a clear shiny cup, you'll just have a white cup, which is not what you want. So there's one blue. I'll heat them all at the same time once I've heated up. So let's bring in another blue cup. Tap, tap, tap all the way across. And you could build this up. I'm just going to do one layer. But you could sort of double emboss. So once it's warm, go over the top again to make it a thicker glaze on the top. Or if you feel there's bits that are a bit blotchy that you want to cover up a bit more. Just pop that one in there. Right, move that to one side. I'm now going to move this mat from underneath because that is going to be slightly sticky where the embossing powder has gone around the edge of my cup. Let's bring in our 3. Oh, it's not what we wanted to do. Let's just replace the powder on that one. Let's bring in our 3 cups that are now looking quite dull with the paper on the top. Let's pick up the heat tool. I'll just get that warming up for a second. And as we heat, I don't know whether you can see that going shiny. As we heat over the top of it. They're blowing around a little bit, but I'm hesitant to hold them down with anything because that might put a mark in the cup. Now, if we can avoid it, I will. If not, something like very lightly held down with your embossing, your take a pick tool or something. So just leave that a second just to heat off. So I don't know how well you can pick up, oh that's quite good, the shiny on those cups. So we now have some beautiful glazed pottery ware. I think it would be quite fun to have these stacked. I'm going to bring in one of these cards. Now, do I want to go with the starry sky? I'm going to come in very blue with some Tahitian tide spots. Shall we go sweet sorbet? We could alternatively go in with stripes, parakeet party stripes, or the other one in there is the orchid oasis. And that's sort of quite a distressed. Come here. That's quite fun. I think I want to avoid the colours definitely that I've already used. Or do we want to go mad green? I quite like the spots on here. It's sort of almost tableclothy or kitchen curtains. So let's grab the envelope that goes with these. Fold this card. So let's have a let's get together soon. Going to die cut, I think, some little hearts, and I shall die cut those in watermelon, not watermelon, in sweet sorbet. That's because I'd said earlier that it was a watermelon-y type red. I think we will stamp ourselves one of these leaves and a couple of these flowers, and we do actually have 2 dies that will cut that flower out, so not too big a job to multiply cut those flowers. So let's bring in our parakeet party for our leaf. Now, do we want one or would we like two? Let's stamp two and then we can decide. Isn't this a beautiful, bright, bold, vibrant green? That actually comes over a bit darker on the camera, and then it actually is in terms of its sort of yellowness, if you like. And then let's get a small block and do some of these flowers. And we'll have those in sweet sorbet. Managed to get a bit of a blob on my finger. I'm also going to take this long set of flowers just here, because there is a die that will cut all of those. And I'm going to stamp those in Orchid Oasis. And then we'll be able to pick some of those out as well. Now, I've not used too much in colour card yet. Just looking to see if I have any oddments of sweet sorbet I have here. Got a little bit, so let's just cut ourselves a strip from there, and then we can die cut a few of those little hearts as well. Right, so we need, in terms of dies, this long floral die here to cut these out. We need this one here to cut these leaves out. And then we have these two floral dies here that we can use to cut these three out. So let's run those through the machine. And obviously it's dies like this where the magnetic plate is going to come into its own, holding them in place. Just line these up. Get this little flower one the right way round. One. And two. And that through. Let's bring these pieces across that we've cut with our first cut. We've got some little Orchid Oasis flowers. Got one green leaf. Two sweet sorbet flowers. 3 little sweet sorbet hearts. And let's just take that die out. Take that die out. We've got one more flower and one more leaf to do. So just line that back up. There they are. What have I gathered up? There's my stamp set, my stamp there. Let's not run away with that. So we have leaves, we have flowers, we have hearts. We have cups. We need a sentiment. So let's stamp that. And I think we'll go, let's go starry sky, I think. Now, just wondering whether just to cut that out. Now I think we will just go with a square. Keep it relatively simple. So let's do some arranging on the front here. Decide what we want to wear. Got my hearts up there. And cups. I'm going to come in first with the cups, I think. Let's put some dimensionals on here. We'll have that sitting that way. And some dimensionals on this one. We'll have that tucked in there, coming this way. And then we'll have this one up here on the top, slightly that way. Now, do I want leaves and things coming out of here? Or shall we have them yeah, I've actually brought in the In Colour glitter ribbon here. So this is the Tahitian Tide colour. So let's perhaps have a little flurry of that behind the sentiment. Morning, Elaine. Take this backing off. This tear and tape. So I'll just pop some tear and tape on the back of there. And then I will swirl this ribbon across the back. This ribbon does fray quite easily, but you can use that as a feature. You could sort of seal the end if you wanted to. Or just go with it and say it's going to fray. Let's fray it. So let's put a few dimensionals on the back of there. Let's bring it up a little bit, get rid of that backing. How do we want that to come? This one I'm going to just snip a little bit because I want it about like that, I think. So just gave that a bit of a haircut. Stick these ones down with some multi-purpose glue. Let's bring in some of these flowers. And tuck that one underneath that handle just there. These little hearts here we'll have coming off the top of the teacup. And we have some more flowers. Do we want to add those in? Let's have this one coming in down here. a little blue one, Orchid Oasis one up here. Perhaps another one coming in underneath. There is some more Orchid Oasis ones somewhere, but they seem to have gone walkabouts for now, so we won't worry too much about those. So let's get together soon. So we have those nice, shiny, there we go, teacups. So really pretty colours in these ink colours. They just are so striking. And we've used quite a bit of the ink. We've got the card base, we've got some of that ink colour ribbon. We've used all those ink colour cards, a bit of ink colour cardstock. Of course, these cards, they're beautifully printed, but you could cut down the front and have it as a mat on a slightly bigger card. All sorts of ways that you could jazz those up. And then the envelopes themselves have got the flap that matches the card front, and then you have these flashes of flowers and ribbons and things all over. Now I'm looking at that and it wants something else. Do you ever have that feeling? I have grabbed my Starry Sky pen. And it's funny because I did this to a project the other day and said, I've not done this in ages. I'm going to stitch it round the outside. Now, when I'm doing faux stitching like this, I never worry particularly if it's a little bit wonky. If I was stitching this by hand, trust me, it would be a little bit wonky. So it all adds to its authenticity if this is a bit wonky too. That's better. It's framed it then. Needed something to frame it, needed something round the edge. So there's a bright and cheery card, and we've added some texture to it by adding that clear embossing powder to those stamped cups. Now I thought we'd do another cup. This time I'm going to come in with the sort of cup with the leaf pattern on rather than the striped cup. Just throwing things on the floor. And I thought we would colour this one with our stamping blends. So we have got new stamping blends in all of the new ink colours. I haven't grabbed all new ink colours. I've grabbed some and some of the non-ink colours as well, because I want to make this one a little bit more sort of vintagey, not quite so bold and bright, have a different look to it. I'm just going to pop those stamps on there for a moment. And to bring in the papers, and I think I'm actually going to pick this petal pink vintagey, sort of tableclothy sort of looking card. I'm going to bring in, these are the Heart and Home doilies. So these are actually from the mini catalogue, so are still current, but I'm going to turn it over and have a white side to a doily. Let's stamp our teacup, and we'll stamp it in Memento because we're going to colour it with our stamping blends. Let's find ourselves a bit of basic white. And there we have our nice fancy teacup with these pretty leaf pattern on it. So I have picked up some of the in colours. So I've got the Orchid Oasis there, and I've got the Parakeet Party, but I might not use those. We'll see. I'll say I want to keep this fairly soft colour wise, so I think I'm going to go soft sea foam for these leaves. I think I'm just going to colour in with the dark. Not going to worry too much about adding extra shading and things. Let's just colour in those leaves. Now the cup, I think I'm going to go petal pink. So I want it just to be very sort of soft. And obviously you can really go to town. You can make your teacups whatever colour you'd like them to be. They can be as bright or as bold as you like. But this one I thought we'd go more sort of fine bone china. Try and get the feel for the sort of the cup your grandma might have had rather than a trendy modern one. So we would keep the colours quite soft. I actually have a whole collection of cups that were either my mum's or my nan's. I think one of them that I've got actually was my great grandmother's. I do love a pretty teacup. Just adding in a bit of an extra shadow around that bottom and around that top. Keeping it a bit paler in the middle there. There we have our little petal pink cup. So we need to cut that out. We have our little doily that we're going to sit that on. Let's cut ourselves a piece of DSP. I'm going to make this, I'm going to cut it to 10 by 14.4. But then one of the things we're doing is trying to add in a bit of texture. So I'm going to take the Time Worn Type 3D embossing folder. This has carried over. I'm going to emboss this piece of DSP. So in order to do embossing, we need our base plate number 1, our 3D embossing folder, and our plate number 4. So that's for the 3D embossing folders if you've got a non-3D embossing folder. Although all embossing folders give you a bit of a 3D, don't they? This one just gives extra 3D. So let's bring our paper. So hopefully you can see the texture on the background just there. Just looking for my blushing bride ink pad, but it seems to have gone. Walkabout. Let's go down a different track. I'm going to rub this brush. Let's bring in the soft sea foam in that case. Now this is a pale colour. I just want to add a bit of colour to the background on this doily. Oh. And then throw it on the floor, because throwing things on the floor seems to be what we do. And to come in with the same soft sea foam. Around the edge. Of our distressed paper, and that will just help that distressed detail to pop a little bit, sort of tickle over the middle as well. Not very hard, just a bit of a tickle. I'm going to take my scissors. I should have perhaps done this before I inked, really. Let's just rough up the edges a little bit. A bit more texture in there. Let's come back round that edge where we've just roughed that up. And that ink will pick up those slightly rougher edges. Right. Let's bring in some thick basic white, and I will cut a card base. So half a piece of cardstock scored in half. We have our vintagey, grunged up paper. We have our inked doily. We have our pretty little teacup on there. No, I think I'm going to leave that. Going to bring in some ribbon, so I think I'm going to go with some of the crinkle seam binding. Let's cut ourselves a bit of that. And then let's colour it. Let's bring in our dark soft sea foam blend. And just gently colour that in. You don't want to, so use slightly the side of your nib. You don't want to squidge your nib. So using the brush end. Back along there. I think we'll tie this into a bow, into a big bow. We'll have our big bow coming on underneath our teacup. And we need to sort out a sentiment. I like the take care of yourself. Let's find ourselves a block, and we've got some soft sea foam here. So keep the colours fairly neutral. Take care of yourself. Right, just looking around for my bigger scissors, thinking, well, they were here just now. They can't have gone very far away. We will again come in and ink round the edge of here. Right, let's start sticking some of this in place, and then we can decide on placement. So very different from the bold card previously. Very much more vintagey and grungy. Let's bring in this doily and cover up its cinnamon cider side. Grab some glue dots. I think I need to tear away some of my backing tape on my glue dots. And we'll use a glue dot to attach that to the back of our cup. Bring in my ribbon scissors. Trim that off. And let's bring in some dimensionals. And add that in. So for a take care of yourself, which would suggest that somebody is having a bit of a rough time and needs to be a bit gentle with themselves, then these sort of nice gentle colours work well. About like that, I think. So the top of that cup sits just over the top of that take. And then I think some of the champagne rhinestones will work rather nicely with this. So one there. Have another one on there. And let's have one coming down here. So a quite simple little card, and those colours might not be coming across ever so well on the video. But yeah, we've just stuck to those two colours, petal pink and soft sea foam, to make a very sort of vintagey, hi Angie, vintagey teacup that says take care of yourself. So they couldn't be any more different. Bold, bright, sort of demonstrating different ways of adding texture. This one, that glossy cups that have been created with clear embossing powder. This one, we've sort of roughed up the edges with scissors. We've embossed that piece of DSP. We've added some blending around the edges, all to give it a little bit more texture. You could go in and add all sorts of things. Yeah, they always look different in real life, don't they, Lisa? So that is our first look at the cup of tea, the Tea Boutique Suite. Your cup of tea with your papers, your dies, and these gorgeous in colour cards and envelopes. There we are, I'll give you a flash of that envelope. So a beautiful suite, perfect for people like me that do enjoy a nice cup of tea. But I'm sure that there's lots of uses for everybody. So one definitely to add in to your collection. So I hope you have enjoyed that first look. We're going to come back and look at some really different ways of using it again on Friday. Let's come back this way. So we shall be back later in the week with it to have a bit more of a play and a bit more investigating what we can do. There's still stamps and dies that we've not yet even begun to play with. So that will be good fun. So I should be back on Friday. Until then, have a really fabulous week. And I am now, guess what, off to have a cup of tea. So see you very soon.